Hey everybody, it's Chris from Beer Bearings. Welcome back. It's Friday again, time for another beer of the week. And this week I'm going to get all the way out to Broussard, Louisiana with Parish Brewing, way out by beyond Baton Rouge, actually, by Lafayette is what I meant to say. And they've been out there since about 2010 in business, have upgraded into an even bigger location, distributed all over the place now. So shame on me for not having had a beer yet from Parish. I told you a few weeks ago that I was going to try to work in some beers from places that I haven't had a chance to talk about. We have an embarrassment of riches in craft beer in Louisiana, so it's taken me this long to get out there. This is Pure Tropics. It is a fruited, hazy IPA, 6.8% ABV, and it was conditioned on mango, pineapple, and pink guava puree, so looking forward to that. I expect it to be pretty fruit forward, and there's another reason for that, which I'll get into in a moment, but we're here for the beer, right? So let me open it up. Got my freshly rinsed glass ready to go here. This is my favorite little Teku glass, little 10-ounce Teku. Gonna give it a good pour for you. So yeah, you can see definitely a hazy IPA. It's got that brilliant white head, which you expect from this kind of beer. I can already smell that fruit. I haven't even gotten it near my nose yet. So there's plenty of that in here. I also mentioned to you that I expect it to be even a little more fruit forward and maybe a little less hoppy, and the reason is that it was bottled way back on September 25th, 2020, so it's a little bit on the older side, and any brewer will tell you that his or her beer is ready to be drunk as soon as it is finished, as soon as they decide it's finished, and as soon as it leaves the brewery or before it leaves the brewery. So that's the usual rule of thumb. Fresher is better. Some beers can benefit from a little bit of time in packaging, but for the most part, beer is ready when it's ready. In this case, this beer is about 6 months old now, so it's going to be a little bit interesting to see how it's changed. I expect the hops to be a little less pronounced, right? So I'm going to get more of kind of a fruit forward flavor. So let me do that. Let's see if that's true. Definitely picking up more of the fruit. Definitely, I would say the guava in particular is apparent, and also I get probably more bitterness than I would expect if this beer were fresh. And it's nobody's fault that this beer is not fresh. In fact, it's probably a little bit my fault. I think I've had it for a couple of weeks now, at least. But it was on that retailer shelf for a while, and it was under refrigeration, thankfully, the entire time. And it's been refrigerated since I've had it and kept in a dark place. All of these are good things as far as beer aging is concerned, but it has changed a little bit probably from what it would have been when it was fresh and when it was new. So let's talk a little bit about why that might be. I'm going to get one more taste though, for sure. It's still an excellent, delicious, drinkable beer. Don't want to give you the impression that it's not, but it's definitely changed a little bit, I think, from what it originally was. I don't have a fresh one to compare it to, so maybe we'll do that one of these days also. Yeah, but again, really, that fruit really comes through. The hops are probably, again, a little bit more muted from what they would have been. It's an IPA, so I'm probably not getting quite the singing hops that I would have gotten when this thing was fresh. But definitely the bitterness is nice, and I like that back-end bitterness on a beer like this. Anyway, makes it a little bit pithy, and just kind of fits into me with the style and the fruit and all of that. So, this beer's in a bottle, and pretty obvious, right? Bottles are becoming more and more rare these days in the craft beer world. It used to be when craft beer was new, kind of, I'm going to say in the 90s, although it goes back to even before that. But certainly beginning in the 90s and up through the early 2000s, bottles were where it was at with craft beer. That's because there was a real aversion to putting beer in cans. Cans were associated with the big mass-produced beers, and those were associated with lower quality. So the one kind of follows the other, like night follows day. The first brewery in the country to put craft beer into a can was Oscar Blues out in Colorado, and they're now part of the Canarchy Collaborative. So they've become a really big national brewery, so everybody has probably heard of Oscar Blues by now. But when they started canning craft beer, it was a big deal. It was a 12-ounce can. And again, that was associated with the big national brands that were thought of as having lower quality. So it was always about bottles. The industry has really transitioned away from bottles, although certainly the really big brewers offer every format known to man and woman Bottles are still out there. This bottle is made out of amber glass, brown glass, which is pretty good at blocking UV rays, UV light. And that's one of the big mechanisms of spoilage in a beer, and certainly it does a good job of that. They also seal really well, and one of the big enemies of beer is oxygen that is allowed to enter the beer anywhere along the process and remain as dissolved oxygen at the very end. And no matter what you do, there's going to be some dissolved oxygen. And I've had lots of packaging experts tell me, people who do this for a living, tell me that it's easier to get less dissolved oxygen in a bottle than it is in a can. So I'm sure that they're following all the best practices they can possibly follow in Parish. They've limited and minimized the amount of dissolved oxygen out there. It's still a delicious beer, and so it will have, been preserved more on the shelf, longer on the shelf, I should say, because of that lower amount of dissolved oxygen in the package. So those are some of the reasons why beer can change flavors over time. It's a dynamic product, it's alive, and the better you're able to keep it refrigerated, the better you're able to keep it dark and consume fresh. That's going to be your best bet for having an excellent beer. So let me get back to this just for a second. Let me recap it for you. 6.8% mango, pineapple, pink guava puree. It's delicious. It's very fruity, very tropical, very fruit forward. I would say that of those fruit flavors right now, that the guava is the one that really stands out for me. And maybe that's because it's a little bit more enhanced by the bitterness of the hop in the beer, and especially after a few months. Now, it's delicious, it's refreshing, and it's highly drinkable. I really wish I had a fresh one. So shame on me. I should get out there and get a fresh one and maybe hang on to one for a while and see how they're different over the course of time. So get out to Parish when you can. Get out to your local retailer if you can't get all the way to Broussard, and pick up some in the store. If you're watching me on Facebook, please invite your friends to join the group and comment and participate in the group. Tell me what's in your glass this week and what you did or didn't like about this video in the comments below. If you're watching me on YouTube, I would love it if you would like and subscribe to the channel, and do the same thing. Tell me what you did or didn't like, tell your friends about it, and help me to grow it. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time right back here on Beer of the Week.